Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, so we started Together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate today for a cure because no one is ever alone in this fight, and we still continue on fighting for you, battling PD, and families because no one, again, is alone in this journey. So I wanted to start off today by saying that usually we focus a lot, obviously, on Parkinson's because that's what the major goal is, but there are other topics and beautiful people in the world who inspire me and I believe will inspire you too. So I wanted to welcome Bri to the show. There's something special about you. I met you again through your mom, and the two of you changed my life forever for the better. Some days are tough for all of us, but when you see other people out there inspiring others, it really kind of just shed a special place in my heart. So I thought of you like a year ago and we finally got it done. So I wanted to welcome you and send love to your mom too.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I know we started this conversation over a year ago, and while I'm not familiar with Parkinson's relatively in my family. I do have a similar disorder, dystonia, which for people who don't know what dystonia is, it's very, very similar to Parkinson's. It's in the same part of the brain. They kind of have the same mechanisms. They progress differently, though. And I believe that you met my mom through that whole kind of like similarity disorder thing.
And unfortunately, my mother had that. So it's a lot of individuals and many listening have dystonia. Maybe you could talk a little bit about it, how it's affected you. And also, we have a lot of to talk about because today we're going to laugh a little. Hopefully, we won't cry a little, but there are other areas that your expertise in dealing with end of life things. And unfortunately, I went through that struggle with my mother. She had Parkinson's for 15 years, but the last year was something I couldn't talk about, so I wrote about it like you also, as a published author, have done. So maybe we could just start at the, a little bit more background on dystonia, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about, how did you get into the world of a tough topic, which I tried to cover because I think the more we do tackle these tough topics, the more awareness we'll bring and help so many people likely listening now.
Yeah, so it's kind of came to a like a head. I'm not sure that it started when I was 10, but when I was 10, I started getting horrific cramps in my arms and my legs. And I really wasn't sure, like, my parents thought it was growing pains, but I would wrap my arms and my legs in ace bandages. I'm pretty sure we, as a family, supported that whole whole ace company, whoever it is. Um, but that's where it started, and then it just got worse, and by the time I was 29, I really couldn't walk. Um, I couldn't navigate stairs, tons of stuff, and I was just in constant, constant pain. Um, then I think in 2022, I finally got a life-saving brain surgery, DBS, which was originally made for Parkinson's patients in I think the 80s, 1980s. And they've started venturing out and exploring other options that it might be good for. And I was a big success story. Anyways, after that, my mom and I wrote a book, Wired to Be Dysfunctional, all about the whole journey. Like, I think almost 20 years of no one knowing what it is, all the medications we tried, and then finally getting brain surgery. Um, and I really hope that there will be, there's no cure right now for myoclonus dystonia, there's no cure for Parkinson's, but I really hope with the technology advancements that there will be.
And we've been covering a lot on the show lately. It's called more young onset Parkinson, but you're so young to have to go through that. That's why I will keep saying how much of an inspiration you are, because I think there's someone, and even if we reach one person listening out there who might be thinking about or even debating DBS or going through the similar situation, obviously everyone's journey is different, then you really change the world for the better for them. So thank you for being so open, honest, and sharing it. I wish your mom was here too, but we were thinking of her, and we can dedicate today's show to her because, again, she brought us together. DBS, at what age were you when you actually were kind of just contemplating it?
When I found out about it, I was 18, but no one would let me have that option. They said, no, it's too experimental for such a young girl, and da 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 da. So I wasn't able to get it until 29 when I met a new neurologist who's like, why has no one given this to you? Like, why has no one let this be an option? My heart was really like full and really broken at the same time. It's like, I've wanted this for 12 years. I would have done it earlier, but no one would do it because it's experimental and it's a huge surgery. Um yeah, so I really would love more people to be able to get it. And they're now experimenting with OCD, addiction, not only dystonias and Parkinson's, but tons of other disorders. And it's been amazing. So
One thing I
I
love
highly
about, yeah, I love that your success story because, research has come so far since then. Do you ever, I mean, you might have to obviously check up and thing, but do you ever worry that it was so early that now today they've made advances? Can they kind of help? Or I guess you're doing fine, so you don't need to. But I always wonder because Mr. Michael J. Fox had a form of DBS, but he's not doing as well today. And wonder if just advances in technology, change year to year that individuals who had it so long ago might have benefited different than today. But seeing your story again kind of breaks the mold, so I'm happy to hear that.
well, and to comment on that, I got like the Cadillac of systems. It's the newly updated, it's so much more advanced than other ones. So yeah, something you had 20 years ago, if you get it replaced with new technology, um, you know, it can access so much more of your brain. It can do like it's just absolutely crazy just seeing all the different things that they can do now. Where, 20 years ago, it was probably, one signal
Mhm.
in one part of the brain where mine has four different parts of the leads. I've got two leads, and it can go one direction or it can go all around. It can go half, all of that stuff. So, it's the advancements are absolutely stunning.
I
I
appreciate it.
think that's why I was so successful.
Yeah, my mother had dystonia and Parkinson, but she had a lot of internal tremors, so you couldn't see them. But I mentioned DVS once, and it was went out the window. But she kind of was scared. So that's why I think again it's so important to keep sharing our stories and doing what you're doing because there might be someone again out there who might want to learn more, but is kind of worried and scared and doesn't have that connection or person like you to reach out to. So thank you and at this point, I wanted to share something. You might recognize these beautiful ladies. And this is, if everyone has time, please go to togetherforsharon.com, click interviews, and you can actually see a lot more about Bri and her mom, completely again free, and their journey, because I think it's inspiring. And again, I wish she was on, but tell her I said hi. Here's some of the, pictures from that time. And it's just amazing seeing you sitting here with me, smiling today live. And just a beautiful story. What got you into wanting to publish? And also, everyone, please go to Instagram. You can follow Bri at BRI_O or zero, I think, and NIC, but I'm going to share. Yeah, I'll share all these with in the notes. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about, writing and what made you want to become an author. I'm always sharing your book and all the things that both of you and your mother do around the world.
Well, thank you, George. So I did not want to become an author. I really didn't, but my spiritual guides told me that I needed to. So I wrote my first book about my near-death experience, and then I co-authored the second book with my mom, completely about myoclonus dystonia and the freaking trials we went through. Um, it was 8 years before I got diagnosed, and then once I was diagnosed, they didn't offer anything. So we just kind of wrote it for caregivers and people in that situation with chronic illnesses that the healthcare system kind of failed. And how to be your best advocate, how to advocate for your loved ones. It's definitely a dual book about, not only a mother and a daughter, but also a caregiver and, someone trying to receive care. It was really hard for me. I've always wanted to be independent. And it was it was really hard to write that book, but we've inspired a lot of people and we really just want people to know that they're not alone and also the medical field to just wake up. I know there's a lot of issues behind the scenes with the medical field, but if it helps one person, that's what we're about. So that's why we wrote it.
The good thing is you're young, so I envision you next medical school. So you'll be able to change the world through inside. And also I wanted to share everyone, please follow Brianna here at LinkedIn if you use LinkedIn, and also Facebook, which I always like to look at just because of the Phoenix here. It's beautiful, but I always think it helps when some days, again, people go through experiences and tough times, but they look to someone to kind of give them some inspiration. I wanted to kind of now ask about near-death experiences, but how did you get into the world of a doula? Maybe you could explain what it is. I have some experience, but it's a tough topic. And again, that's really one big reason why I was so, it sounds odd, but excited to talk about death with you because, I mean, they always joke, it's not funny, but taxes and death are guaranteed. And a lot of people aren't prepared. We never were. We were told by probably 15, that's 1-5 medical professionals, some of the best in South Florida, that you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it. And my mother was only 69. So I'm still kind of 5 years later in shock, like literally still grieving. I do this show only because I still live on through people, individuals like you who keep me going and my family. But I wouldn't be here right now, in my opinion, without all of you, and everyone listening. My mother was my best friend, and I still don't understand what happened, but I wrote about it in my book, Son's Journey, but the last year I kept a journal because I didn't know how to understand or what was going on with her. But every day was just another thing over another. And I think that if I had someone like you on the side helping, kind of like the little voice, maybe helping guide us, we might have not been as troubled. But as you likely went through, go through every emotion from grief, stress, anxiety, depression. I mean, we don't have the time to go through everyone, but maybe you can bring us into the world, which I don't see enough people talking about, and all the work that you've done.
So the reason I became a death doula, first off, I am so sorry you lost your mom and in the way you did. Um, Grief is never easy, and everybody experiences it so differently. And we're taught that there's a grief cycle that you go in stages, but that's not true. Like it's a web. You can experience nothing, you can experience numbness, or you can experience all these different emotions all at once. So you can experience the grief, the denial, the confusion, the anger, all these things all at once. So that's one conception I really am adamant about changing is that you have to go through a cycle because it's not a cycle. It's very complex and every situation, every person is different. So you lost your mom. That is going to be very different than you losing your dad. And it's just going to be different in the terms of emotions and feelings and all that stuff. The reason I got into being a death doula, first off, I grew up with a chronic illness and I was scared and I just knew I was going to die before I reached 28. I was hurting. I was in pain. I was scared. God wasn't healing me. Everything I did just would not, fix anything. So I knew I was going to die. And then I did temporarily die in 2017 for 8 minutes, and my world changed. I felt the most loving compassion and excitement and curiosity that we get to bring here into this world. I was not sure what to do with it until another 5 years, but after the 5 years and my illness came, I had a temporary remission for about 2 years. Um, after like constant symptoms since I was 10, the remission was so amazing. And then my condition came back and it came back with ferocity and fever. It's like, what? What is this about? Then I got this amazing brain surgery, and everyone's like, "Why aren't you scared?" I'm like, "I'm more scared of what life is like without it." So, um, it was, I was awake for it. I was awake for the DBS surgery, but my team was phenomenal, and they kept me very comfortable. And then afterwards, I came back and I just wanted to run around the world.
Mhm.
I was so excited within like 3 or 5 days that I was ready to run around the world and just, it was incredible. And my mom had been wanting to write my story before the brain surgery for, oh gosh, probably 5 or 10 years. And I'm like, no, there's no solution. There's no ending. Like, why would you write a story that has no good ending? And then I had this brain surgery, and a year later was like, okay, it's time. So we wrote Wired to be Dysfunctional together. Her viewpoint as a mother who is concerned, a fighter that just wants to help her daughter. And then me as the kid who's like, I'm struggling. Like, I don't know how to live. If this is life, I don't know what to do. So it's a beautifully and very emotional story about our journey together with Myoclonus Dystonia, and then the success that DBS brought us.
Well, I love it and I have it, so I'm honored to say I recommend it. How do individuals or everyone listening get a copy? Amazon. Is Amazon the main area? I think your website too, right? How does
Yeah.
everyone read?
If you want a personally signed copy, then you can go to my website. If not, you can go to Amazon and get it there. But if you want me to sign it, just hit me up on my website.
Thanks. And why does, I have a odd question, which is, I don't know, why do some individuals choose to be awake versus asleep during the procedure? Because I have a very close friend, shout out to Melissa, who just had DBS a day ago too. She was sleeping, and I think I probably would want to sleep, but does that make it more difficult to determine the different, patterns and things? Or is it kind of now with technology, maybe you have some recommendations on that?
Yeah, so I was told it's not a individual um option, it's a surgeon option. So it depends on how they're trained. And with my surgeon, he was trained with awake brain surgery. So it's completely up to your surgeon. Mine was, yep, you're shaving your whole head and you are going to be awake. The perks of that, though, of being awake is if they have to make minor adjustments, they don't have to go back and do another brain surgery or anything. They can literally test it while you're there. So while robots and technology are so amazing and so advanced right now that they do not need to do awake brain surgery anymore, it still has that perk of if there is just, especially with DBS, if there's just the millimeter that's off that they need to adjust, they can do that while you're awake. And they can tell, they can test everything while you're awake. But there is no need for it to be awake anymore. Our technology advancements have come so far, and this is even almost 3 years ago that they're like, yeah, robots are completely capable of doing everything. You don't need to be awake. It's mostly on the surgeon, I guess.
Thank you. And death is a tough topic. Maybe you could comment on why you think it's so hard to get everybody to really think about it, talk about it, and really plan for it. As an attorney, I'm actually writing now a blog about, the will, the power of attorney and death with dignity. But I'm just wondering your views on, how do we get more people to learn about what you do and reach out to you to have support like you offer.
Well, I'm still trying to just figure out how to educate people on what a death doula is and how I support life, at the end of life, the terminal illness, and that can be anywhere from legacy projects to advanced directives to being there by their side, living funerals, post death stuff. I'm still not sure about the best way to um, educate people on what a death doula is. It's just I'm beyond the hospice. So if you need any support that is mental, physical, emotional, and you're not receiving it, like some hospice is great for that, but a lot of them, they're so overwhelmed and they're strictly medical. Like they just want to make sure that your body is comfortable. I want to make sure your mind and your heart is comfortable.
I wish we had you because it was odd. We had a long term in Florida that just started a year. So my mother was actually in hospice for a year. But the last day, I don't know what the odds are. And in a good way, she missed COVID, thankfully, because that would have been a mess. But she passed on 1/1/2020. And for some reason that night, the hospice was off. So no one was there, like literally the last night of her life. And I didn't know what to do. We're alone with no medical help, nothing on New Year's. And it was just a tragic way to kind of, end your life, and no one was there. It was just something out of I don't want to say a horror story, but that's what it felt like at the time. And again, I do appreciate what you do and all the things that you do, and everyone listening, I hope will support you too. Now I'm going to shift from sadness to some, hopefully a little bit of smiling, and we like to do that somehow, even with tough topics on the show. Can you list 3 words that describe who you are? These might be tougher
Resilient,
than these are tougher than the other question.
resilient, hopeful, and grateful.
Thank
That
you.
wasn't that hard.
No, I like that. Is there one moment or most memorable moment that stands out through most of your work with advocacy today that you can share?
Yeah, just people at the end of their lives. I am on call, especially in my small community. I work internationally on Zoom, but when people are actually in that transition of passing, I will pack a bag and I will go sit with somebody at the hospital. And just the relief that some people have that their family can't get there soon enough, that I'm there, that they can call me, they can rely on me, and I can be their advocate. I can retain the information. It is so heartwarming that I just get to be there and help people. So I think that's the biggest part of what I do that really illuminates my heart. I do so much, but the fact that I get to be there for people who are, in transition or scared of transitioning is so wonderful and so powerful.
Think we need to change the word death doula to angel doula. That'll sound better. Maybe people will like not be as timid from it, but sounds like you're doing some inspiring and work that is beyond what any I can even conceive. So I appreciate that a lot. One big trouble and misconception, I think, because it happened to my mother, is, again, a lot of people are still telling people that you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it. And of course, that's great because it might be true for some, but everyone, as we keep saying over and over, everyone's journey is different. So in my opinion, it's a misconception. And that's why a lot of people don't talk about death and Parkinson's and kind of put it off. Like we didn't put it off because we just weren't aware. And like I said, even today, I'm not sure what happened, why it kind of progressed so quickly. Uh, Now, this one I kind of know the answer, but so I know the secrets here. But who helps you? Because this is a tough job you have. Some you probably won't consider a job. It's more like something change, life changing. But who helps you during times of struggle? Because on this show, we obviously love our guests, but we also like to take a moment to thank and send our love and support to all those in the background and behind the scenes in your life, because I know that many of us wouldn't be able to do this today without the support from our loved ones. So just want to take a moment to maybe learn about who that is in your life, even though I already interviewed her.
So, yeah, I dedicate my life to helping others and giving that emotional, stuff away. So, it's so important for me to have a great support system. And that starts with my mom. which I know you know the answer to that. But I also my sister, my boyfriend, my life coach, they're all phenomenal. When I'm having a hard time, I just reach out to them and they are there within seconds. And it's really important if you're in a position of caregiving or just you know in a place of helping and service. It's so important for you to also have people that can help you when you're depleted because we're not perfect. We are not like you called me an angel doula, but I am I have so many powers. I don't have all of them. And sometimes I need that cup replenished too. So having my mom, my sister, my family, my boyfriend, my life coach all on board, like they are willing to just stop everything and talk to me or just let me be and express my feelings. And there's a lot of grief that comes with my role. It's just because I'm a death doula that deals with death all the time doesn't mean I'm immune to grief or anything. So it's absolutely beautiful that I have such an amazing support system.
I agree, and also very important to bring these topics up again, even though I said earlier, so that we can talk about them. But we send our love and support to your mom and the whole family there, and tell them thank you from us. If you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it, and what actress would play your role?
Mm. Oh yeah, you did ask me this one, and I'm not too familiar with actresses.
Okay.
Um, but ooh, I don't know, something about maybe the title would be Jump into the Unknown. And then just don't know too many actors or actresses.
You could play yourself if you
Okay,
want.
I'll play my I'll play myself. Okay, I'll play myself. Jump into the unknown. We're gonna launch into all.
Well, well, hopefully I could be one of the first, hopefully I could be one of the first people in the front row when it comes out. Well, I hope I'll be first in row to the movie once it's out, and I really enjoyed all those responses, and did have one final question that I always say I shouldn't say final because I do think that after the lights, camera, and paparazzi leave today, that this conversation has to continue. We can't stop advocating until there's a cure for all these diseases and support out there for everyone listening and loved ones. What, if you could leave the community, I usually say Parkinson's community, but really everybody out there today with some words of encouragement, what would they be?
We are all very resilient and you have resilience in you, but there's always someone else there to support you. So it might be scary, it might be really hard to reach out, but you know, y- your mom had you, George, and I had my mom. There's always and support you, especially with how small the world is now and all the technology. Just find your support system. It'll really help get you through it.
I agree and second that, and just had a little message for you, Bree, and also for your mom and everyone listening. We love you, we support you, we care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Bree and her incredible support there, will advocate for you, and together I feel our voices are so much stronger. I always end the show with them just getting started because we met a year ago or more now. It's amazing. If you look at the date in the interview, it's before you know, it'll be like 5 years, 10 years, it's nuts. But every time I might have a struggle or I have a surgery or something that kind of puts me down, sad that day, I look to you, to your mom, and to everyone out there listening, and really kind of pushes me to keep fighting and to never give up. So I want to thank you, Bree, for that and for your time and friendship. It means so much.
Yeah, you as well, George.
Well, thank you, Bree, and thank you to everyone listening. Please share this. Please support Bree. I'm going to add all the links so you can follow her, like I do, and like all the incredible, inspiring work she does. So again, thank you all for joining us. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son, George. Please stay tuned. There's so much more to come, and I won't rest along with Bree until there's a cure for all these diseases around the world and at everybody's doorsteps. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.